Hey guys, welcome to another episode here. Merry Christmas Eve. I cannot believe that we are here once again. And I truly hope you guys are having a phenomenal time with family, friends, whatever it is that you are doing. I do hope that it is feels warm and blessed and you are having a great time. But one of the things that I want to talk about today is mental wellness tips. I want to give you some mental wellness tips for the holidays because the holidays can bring a lot of stressors. And I want to share a story here because I had a client of mine over Thanksgiving, literally the Monday after Thanksgiving, we're doing our check in, which is my favorite thing to check in. Hey, how did you do over the holidays? How did you feel? And how are you doing now? And one of my clients said, I feel like every year over the holidays, it's like my family's time to literally bring up all their shit and bring everything to the surface. And it causes all of this stress and arguments and anxiety and so much stuff. And I asked her, where do you stand in all of this? Like what is happening here? She's the oldest of all of the kids, even though she's married, she has her own family, and then she has her siblings, and then everybody gets together for Thanksgiving, and all of this stuff comes up. She's telling me the dynamics. I asked her, I said, hey, do you feel like your family's happiness is your responsibility? Do you feel responsible for their actions? Do you feel responsible for the things that they are doing and saying? And she said, yeah, I feel responsible for it. And her big thing is keeping the peace. So making sure that she's talking to everybody and like she's checking in with this sibling and her parents and all that to like keep the peace. And I asked her a very hard question. I said, why do you feel like you are responsible for the things that they are saying and doing? Because they're grown adults. And she's like, whoa, never thought about that. It was interesting because I told her, I said, listen, your health, your physical health is not going to get better until we get you taken care of, and you cannot get better and your body cannot heal the way that it needs to heal until we let go of that and you actually start taking care of yourself and not everybody else. Because right now, you're taking care of everybody else. And I know that you don't want to, but you feel like you have to. But the question begs, why do you feel like you have to? Her question was like, well, how do I like even begin? Like, what do I do? I said, well, the number one thing and the very first thing that we do right now is that you actually need to get to know yourself. And right now, you don't know who you are. You just know that you're here and you're trying to keep the peace with everybody else because you don't want any chaos and you want your family to get along and you want to make sure there's no hurt feelings. But like, that's not your job. And right now, you're drowning. Listen, I used to be this person. I used to be the person that was always the peacekeeper. I always made sure that everybody else was like calm, or like if there was arguments in place. I always see both sides. That is actually one of my gifts is I can see both sides of the argument and understand where this person is coming from, and I can understand where this person is coming from. And we're grown adults here, and we can also like agree to disagree, and that's okay. And you can do things in a respectful manner. But what I was doing is I was like making sure that things are kind of like peaceful and calm, and like I would bring that part in, and I would do that for everybody else. Yet like I was dying on the inside because I was compromising myself. I was compromising like my beliefs. I was compromising my voice. I was dying on the inside. And so, because what happens is if you are a people pleaser and you do that, you end up ignoring yourself. You ignore your voice and you carry everybody else's stuff that is not yours to carry. And so I told her, I said, listen, all of your siblings and your family, like they're adults and you are not responsible for their happiness. You're not responsible for the things that they say. You're not responsible for the things that they do. Like, you're not responsible for any of that. And whatever it is that they're carrying, you are not responsible to carry that. That is theirs to carry, not yours. And they need to deal with that. They need to figure that stuff out, not you. You need to figure yourself out. And so that really started this ripple effect of her like really starting to get to know like, oh, who am I? What do I believe? What is it that I actually want? And this is something that I have my clients and I want you guys to take notes of this because I want you guys to do this as well. Because I know that there are lots of you that feel that. You feel like you are the people pleaser. You feel like you're the one that keeps it all together and you save the day for everybody else, but then you feel neglected. I know you feel that. And here's what I want you guys to write down. And then I want you to journal on this if this is something that resonates with you. But the first thing that I always have them write down is, who am I? And that is a question that most people can't answer. Who am I? And it has nothing to do with your job title, has nothing to do with you being a wife or a girlfriend or a husband or a boyfriend, a son, a daughter, or a father. It has nothing to do with any job title, any kind of titles. It has nothing to do with that. And when that question is asked, it makes you go deep within and go, well, who am I actually? And I had a client of mine a couple of years ago. I had her do this and I said, listen, you're not going to know the answer right away. Sometimes we don't know the answer for 6 months or a year because there's so much discovery that needs to happen. And it took her an entire week. So she would write down, like, who am I? And for the first entire week, she realized that she has no clue who she is. And she's completely lost who she used to be. And so sometimes you have to sit with it for a while and you have to journal on it. And she, she bawled her eyes out because she was like, I have no idea who I am. I've lost myself. And a lot of times the thing is too is like we're not taught, like when we're growing up, at least not where I grew up, we're not taught how to get to know ourselves. We're taught how to get to know other people and we're so curious about other people. But are you doing the same for yourself? Are you getting to know you? And most of us are not. We're not asking ourselves the same question. What kind of food do you like? Do you drink coffee? Do you like tea? Where do you like to eat? What's your favorite place to shop? What do you watch? What shows are you watching? What podcasts are you listening to? Hopefully, Lizzie Ens Show. We like to ask other people those questions, but when are we stopping and pausing and asking ourselves, like, what do I really want? What do I want my life to look like? Who do I want to be? Who do I want to become? Are you asking yourself those questions? So that's the first question. All right, friends, let's talk about something that's a little uncomfortable but super important. Parasites. Yup, those unwanted guests in our bodies that can mess with our energy, digestion, and throw off our internal system. Now, most of us don't think about doing a parasite cleanse, but the truth is, these pesky little things are more common than we'd like to think, and they can lead to all kinds of symptoms that many people just live with, thinking they're normal. Now, it's not a matter of not having parasites at all. Rather, it's about how many do you have and what havoc are they creating internally. That's why I'm excited to share the Roger Hood Super Purify Kit with you. It's a comprehensive, all-natural kit that helps rid your body of parasites gently and effectively. I like to say this is white pant approved. It's easy to use and it's a great way to reset and support your health from the inside out. Because let's be real, detoxing isn't just a trend. It's a way to help our bodies function better. The reason I love the Super Purify Kit for myself and my clients so much is it doesn't just touch on parasites. This kit includes a heavy metal flush, a candida detox, a binder which is very much needed, and a red artist tincture designed to support your gut and your organs as you are detoxing. So if you've been feeling sluggish, bloated, or just not quite like yourself, it might be time to give parasite detoxing a try. Grab the Roger Hood Super Purify Kit and start taking charge of your health and see what a difference it makes when you clear out what shouldn't be there in the first place. Go to www rogershood.com/ref/8. This link will automatically apply a 10% off discount code for you. If that doesn't work, you can also apply Lizzie10. Again, that is www.rogershood.com/ref/8. You can also find this link in the show notes. So the second question is, what do I love? Okay. Who am I? What do I love? And who do I want to become? Those are 3 questions that you want to write down, and then you want to journal on it. And it's going to take some time. Now, the fourth thing that you do with this, which is very uncomfortable for a lot of people, is you stand in front of a mirror. And most of the time, when people stand in front of a mirror, they're not looking into their eyes. They're primarily looking into the mirror to construct. Like you're criticizing. You're criticizing how you look. You're criticizing your hair. You're criticizing your skin. You're criticizing your shape. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not curvy enough. I need to be this. I need to be criticizing that self-image. And this time, when you stand in front of the mirror, here's what you're going to do instead. You're going to stand in front of the mirror and you're going to look yourself in the eyes, like deep, deep within the eyes. And you literally allow everything around you to blur out. I tell you what, like the first time that I did this, I almost lost it because I was looking into my soul for the first time and I thought to myself, I have no freaking clue who I even am because I've never asked myself these questions. And so for most people, like this becomes uncomfortable because we're afraid to find what's underneath the surface. We're afraid what's going to happen if we really get to know, like, are we going to believe things that we never believed before? Are we going to see things we've never seen before? We're so scared of that part. But let me tell you something. You don't get to know yourself first, like really, really deeply and intimately get to know yourself first. How do you expect other people to come in and get to know you the way you want them to get to know you, but also respect you? And it starts with you. So I had a conversation with someone and they're like, okay, like I know all these things, but like, where do I start? I know this is the circle that I'm in. I know this is the merry-go-round that my life is in. How do I break that and get out of it? And I said, well, the very first thing is that it starts with you getting to know you. And until you start getting to know you, you won't break it because you have to face those things head on. It's like fear. You have to face fear head on. Okay, what's your fear? Face it head on. And, speaking of, family and relationships, one of the most powerful things that someone told me recently, I was in this conversation with someone regarding relationships. And this could be someone that is a romantic relationship or someone that is a friend relationship. Like it could literally be any kind of relationship because it resonates with all of them. But if you're getting into a relationship or you're getting to know someone and you realize that you have walls up, like there's layers there that is a protective mechanism, and you have those walls up and you know that they're there. Well, if you know that those walls are there, what are you doing about it? Because it doesn't serve you to keep the walls up. If you're keeping the walls up to the person that you're trying to get to know, you're also keeping the walls up to yourself and you're not like getting to know yourself. And so they painted this picture and they said, listen, if you're afraid to get into a relationship with someone, like I said, whether it's romantic or a friendship relationship, but if you're afraid of that and you keep your walls up, if you're afraid, it's because they can actually take something from you. So if you're like, oh, I'm afraid I'm going to get my heart broken, it's because they're giving you something that you're not giving yourself and they can take it from you. And so now you look at, okay, if they can take that from me, why can they take that from me? And you say, okay, I have to give that to myself first. And if I give that to myself first, they can't take it from me. And so if that person leaves your life and you're no longer in a relationship or you're no longer talking or whatever the case may be, and you both walk away, you can both walk away and go, I'm okay. Like I could walk away from this and my life wouldn't change because I know that I'm okay here and they can't take anything from me. And so a lot of times when we look at the dynamics of our family and getting hurt and all of these things, it's because we're looking at unrealistic expectations and we're afraid that that person's going to take something from us, but they can't take it from you if you're already giving it to yourself. So you come first. And so some common things that can cause like holiday stress is family dynamics. Number one, we talked about that. My question to you is, what kind of expectations are you putting on yourself and what kind of expectations are you putting on your family and what kind of boundaries do you have in place? Because there's a lot of times there's unrealistic expectations, but there's also overscheduling things, financial pressures, like there's all these different things that can cause the pressures and the stress. So I want to talk a little bit about boundaries. Like how do you set boundaries? And that is the one thing that a lot of people don't know how to set boundaries. And now here's the thing. There's a fine line between like setting boundaries firmly and just say, "Hey, like this isn't going to work." And there's a nice way to do that and just being plain rude about it. You don't have to be rude about how you're setting your boundaries. Um, uh, Something that I'll actually share with you because this was a client of mine a few years ago. And when she came to me, she was really, really ill, like really ill. Like we even did a brain scan to find out like what's going on with the brain. I really thought like, man, like there could be some stuff going on there. Like we didn't know if it was brain cancer or what it was. And then she ended up telling me her dynamic with her relationship with her mom. And she had an extremely unhealthy relationship with her mom. And it showed in her brain scan just how toxic it was. So I told her, I said, listen, I'm not telling you to not talk to your mom. I'm not telling you to cut her out of your life. But what I will tell you is, unless you put boundaries in place with that relationship because of how toxic it is, your body is not going to get better. You are not going to heal and it's not going to get better because of the stressful emotions that are in this relationship right now. And so she's like, okay. And so she set the boundaries and she just told her mother, she's like, listen, I'm working on healing and this relationship is not helping me and I'm going to put boundaries in place and here are my boundaries. This is what can go and what cannot go. She just put firm boundaries in place. And you know what happened? Within weeks after she did that, she just started thriving. Like I every single call that I had with her, I could not believe the change in her and she is still thriving to this day. And it's because she took control back into her life. And so if you are having trouble setting boundaries and setting your standards and asking for that respect with the boundaries, that means that the people around you, they control your life and you don't. That's a hard pill to swallow. I actually just had another gal over the summer that I was working with, and she had a similar dynamic happen with her family because of how toxic it was and how bad it was. And her and her husband were like, we can't do this anymore. We're going to move out of state. I was like, what? That is crazy. And she's like, no, like we have to create separation in order for the both of them to actually be able to live the life. Now, here's the thing. Not everybody has to do that. It is your choice. Nobody should ever come in and tell you like, this is what you need to do. You need to separate from your family. You need to do this, do this, do this. It's already within you. You already know what you need to do. Sometimes you just need some guidance and you need to okay. And I'm giving you the permission and the okay that yes, you are worth it and you are capable of setting those boundaries for yourself. And when you start setting boundaries, people actually respect you more. 100%. I learned this the hard way. Once I started to put more boundaries in place and I said, this goes and this doesn't go, and these are my standards, like I got way more respect from people because they took me seriously. Hey guys, if you have really been debating whether or not you should do a parasite cleanse, here is your sign. Parasites can really be an underlying root cause issue for health issues like thyroid issues, hormone issues, gut issues, skin issues. Even in kiddos, it can cause delayed development in speech. I've had this happen with customers that have used it and their kids started to talk again. And so if you have not done a parasite cleanse, but you live with pets or you live on a farm, you eat meat, especially pork and fish, you need to do a parasite cleanse. I highly suggest that. And it's amazing what can happen once you do this. And everybody should be doing it at least twice a year minimum. You get 10% off the Roger Hood Parify Kit. Go to www.rogershood.com/ref/8 and you'll get 10% off your Parify Kit. I like the Super Parify Kit and I like to use it with the Gutty, the 3-day Gutty to prepare myself, and the fulvic foot soak is a really good option as well, and that will get you 10% off your order. I love this theory by Mal Robbins, and she has a book that she just published and it's called Let Them. And there's something extremely freeing about the let them theory. And I want to tell you a little bit about it. So I want you to think about this with if you have chaos during the holidays, or if you feel like you're this person that's like, I gotta make sure everybody's good. I want you to try the let them theory. So if you're the fixer and you always like take care of everybody, let them theory is if someone talks bad about you, let them. If someone is not able to come to your Christmas party, let them. If someone is whatever the case may be, just let them. And when you, no, I'm not talking about like let them abuse you. Like we're not talking about that. We're talking, obviously you don't want to let someone abuse you. But let's just say like someone said verbally abusive things to you. The number one thing that I want to tell you about that is that it's not about you. Like it's not you. It's not you. It's what's going on within them and they're projecting it on you. So if that happens, let it slide off your shoulders and move on. Sometimes easier said than done. But I want you to think about the let them theory, and maybe you need to go get the book, Let Them, because it's really powerful when you get into that place of just being like, it's not mine. It's not mine to hold and it's not mine to carry. Now, there's also something to be said, and I'm not talking about uncomfortable situations or anything like that, but like there's something to be there to hold space for someone, and that's different than chaos and toxic stuff. But what I mean by holding space for someone is if someone is going through a difficult time. Some people lose loved ones around, if as hardest thing is losing loved ones during the holidays. Anytime it is, but I feel like during the holidays when people lose loved ones, like it's a really difficult time. And so you can hold space for people while not carrying their stuff. Like you have to know the difference between holding space and carrying their stuff. Like I have a gal that is going through some really hard things. For some reason, I'm one of the only people in her entire life right now that allows that space for her to just be. And you need at least one person in your life that will do that for you when things are really difficult, to hold space. That's different. Before I go here, I want to talk a little bit about the importance of maintaining routines for your mental and physical health during this time. Some suggestions that I have is mindfulness or meditation. And one of the things that I want to pinpoint here is gratitude. Like I was telling someone this morning, I'm like, listen, everything starts with gratitude. Like if you don't have gratitude, you don't have joy. If you don't have gratitude of where you're at in your journey now, you will not have gratitude when you get to your quote unquote destination of where you feel like you want to be. You're not going to be grateful then. So gratitude starts now, but gratitude really helps you like reflect on the things that are good in your life now. So you ask yourself like what went well this last week and have gratitude for what is right now, even if it's stressful. Because what you focus your energy on is what is going to be in your life. So if you focus on gratitude, you're going to have a lot more joy and gratefulness. And when you have joy and gratefulness, everything is not as crazy as we think it is. So mindfulness, meditation, gratefulness, physical activity, make sure that you're being active, go walking, go exercising and all that, because that will help like release. And then make wise choices with your food. Like make sure that you're still like taking care of your health, you're getting enough water and you're sleeping. Like make sure you're getting enough sleep so that your body can heal. And then practice, just small habits on a day-to-day basis of like tuning in with yourself. So earlier when I talked about like checking in with yourself and like getting to know you, you can start now by practicing like asking yourself questions like who am I and who do I want to become? Who do I want to be? Check in with yourself on that. And you could do this when you're doing your gratitude journaling, like whatever the case may be, whatever works for you. Like, I'm very transparent. Like, I'm not a person that can like sit down every single day and journal. It just doesn't work for me. But I do journal at times. So I journaled this morning and it was great. But will I journal tomorrow and the day after? The chances are no. But I will do check ins. I check in with myself, I ask myself questions. And so I want to encourage you to do that as well is ask yourself questions because if you're not asking yourself questions, you are not getting to know you, which is what you want. And the last thing that I want to share with you, and I want you to really, really remember this, is that you can bring joy to other people's lives and you can hold space for other people. You can be that person because you love them and you want to be loved, but their happiness is not your responsibility. They are responsible for their own happiness. Because there was a gal that I was working with over the summer, and she made this comment one time. She's like, I just want to make my husband happy. And that was by like, food choices and all that stuff. I was like, what do you mean you just want to make your husband happy? That's not your job. She's like, what? She's like, I've never heard that before. I said, your husband's job is to make himself happy. Your job is to make you happy. When you come together, it's icing on the cake because you're both individually happy. Even if you're married, you are still individual people and you are responsible for your happiness. Can you guys make each other happy when you come together? Absolutely. But if you always seek him for happiness, you are never going to be satisfied because he can't meet your needs the way that you can meet your needs. So you have to make yourself happy. Okay. And I know that sometimes like people are like, oh, it's so selfish. I'm like, is it though? Because if you're not making yourself happy, how can other people be happy with you? So your family's happiness is not your responsibility. Thanks for listening, guys.